Hi everybody, it's Beth, and today I'm making a fall floral display. I grabbed 2 of these wooden crates, some fall themed tulle, both from Dollar Tree, these candle cups from Hobby Lobby, some fall florals, mostly from Hobby Lobby, sage colored chalk paint, wood glue, hot glue, and Mod Podge. I started by putting the wood glue on the top rim of one of the crates as well as some hot glue. And then I took the other crate and placed it right on top of that first one. Then I used a baby wipe to just get off any excess glue that was coming through and sanded down the entire crates. And then I took the candle cups and I just put some hot glue around the little rims on there and hot glued the 4 of them right to the 4 corners of the bottom crate. Then I took the sage colored chalk paint and I painted the entire thing, and I did 2 coats of that. Once the paint was completely dry, I applied a thin layer of Mod Podge to the very front part of the crates. Then I took the tool and placed it on the Mod Podge. And when I put it on there, I made sure that the tool would be flush with the bottom of the crate, so it wasn't going to be overlapping. So when I was going to be cutting it later, that I wouldn't have to cut the bottom where the feet were. So it was nice and flush with the bottom, and it was over, it was hanging over on the top, so it'd be easier to cut. So it was nice and flat and smooth, and I used my heating tool to dry it, making sure to not leave the heat too long in one spot because it will melt it. So once that part was dry, I moved on to the side and did the same thing, nice thin layer on the side, and then smoothed out the tool. Okay, and for this part, I did intentionally leave the heat on a spot for long. For the openings here, I left the heat on those little openings intentionally for a long time so it would kind of melt those spots and poke those holes right through. But then the other spots, I just kind of moved around my heating tool to dry that Mod Podge. So I just kept that process going until I had the entire thing covered. And then from that beginning section, there was just that little piece of excess tulle. So I just took my box cutter and went along the edge and cut that piece off. So then just continued on going with the Mod Podge until the thing was completely covered. So once I have it completely covered, I just went around and cut off the excess tulle with my box cutter, went around all the edges, and just cleaned it up. And then for the sides, I just went around the little openings and cut off that excess tulle from where I had kind of melted those little sections. And then I did an outer layer of Mod Podge. And if you're doing this and you don't have those lines from the crates, you'll be fine. But for the crates where the indents in the tulle, you'll end up creating air bubbles. So what I had to do was go back through with my razor blade and kind of slice all those little sections because I created like air pockets. So you'll see that I have to go back through and make lines to release all that air because the Mod Podge created like little air pockets. So I just went back through with my box cutter, made little slices, and it just releases the air, and then you go back through. And if you have any little air bubbles, once you're drying them, you can just almost like push the air out with your finger or paintbrush. And then I just went around with my heating tool and dried around the entire thing. And if I did have any little air bubbles, I just pushed it down with my finger and, put some heat on there, and it just smoothed it out. And then the last thing I did was added in my foam and some fall florals. And that's it. I think it turned out really beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.